Hello, this video will cover how to complete your 1040EZ form. Pretty simple process, and you can do it for free. You don't need to buy the TurboTax or the H&R Block or those paid softwares. And all you got to do is go to the IRS main site, go irs.gov, and input that. And if you haven't already have your W-2s handy, I would go ahead and get those right now, as well as a little calculator if you could. So go ahead and pause the video until you get your documents. Okay, you're back. So we're now at the www.irs.gov site. Now, just FYI, if you did want to use some of the free software, some of those paid sites that I mentioned earlier, you can actually determine whether or not you qualify for those. Just go to the free file link. But we're going to just skip right to the form because this will be a pretty simple process. So we're going to scroll down until you find forms and instructions. And then you'll see 1040EZ, tax return for single joint filers with no dependents. So those of you that know you are eligible to file a 1040EZ, go ahead and use that link. And once you click on that, it should take you into the form. Now what I've done is the form itself can be found right here. And if you click on that, you will see that you get the fillable form. And what I've done is I've actually opened up the file that has the instructions so that I can have both tabs open. And if you want to do the same, all you'll need to do is go down a little bit further. It says the instructions. And I prefer the HTML so I can have the tab. So go to the second hypertext link and right click on that. And then all you'll need to do is copy the link address. And then whatever browser you're using, I'm using Chrome. So Google Chrome. So what you'll do is just right click in here and paste and then enter, and then that'll pull up the instructions for this form. So you can have those both tabs open while you work on it. So here you have the HTML format of your instructions. So now we have our form 1040EZ. And hopefully you'll have knowledge of your current address and your information, and we're going to go ahead and start filling in the form. Now those items that are indicated with the light blue, like your first name, you go ahead, and I'm just going to make up a name, Happy, his first name and middle initial, Happy X Gilmore, and then you will input your social security number, and if you happen to be doing a joint return, you'll go ahead and input that information as well. If not, just skip down to where your address is. So whatever address you have, I'm going to make up an address, and then you go ahead and put in your city, and then whatever state you're in. I'm in California, so go ahead and put that in there, and then that's pretty much it. You normally wouldn't use this unless you are actually located in one of those areas. And then you can select whether or not you want your $3 to go to the fund. And then this is probably the most math that you're going to have to do on this form. You're going to get your W-2s, and if you have multiple W-2s, meaning you work for multiple jobs, you want to go ahead and add up those totals from that first box, and you're going to put in those wages, and you're going to input that number in. And then if you have any taxable interest, like from your savings accounts, this usually comes in the form of a 1099 interest form, or at the very bottom of your December 31st bank statement, and it'll tell you the interest that you earn. So all wages, all income that you earn for the year, you need to record it here on the form. And let's see, we also have a place for unemployment, and all you're going to do is just punch in the numbers. And let's see, unemployment, if you had any unemployment wages, that should also be on one of the forms that you received in the mail. And then what you'll do is you need your calculator here. You're going to add up these amounts. I'm going to go ahead and add my numbers up. Let's see, that's 10,155. So whatever total you get of lines 1, 2, and 3, add those up. So you should have your calculator with you. And then if someone can claim you or your spouse of a joint return as a dependent, check the applicable boxes below and enter the amount from the worksheet on the back. So if you are a dependent of someone else, this is where you need to make sure you specify. Now, that means like if your parents are claiming you and they're providing more than half of your living expenses, you want to make sure you complete that item on the back. Now, if no one else is claiming you, then you can go ahead and claim yourself and your spouse if you're doing a joint return, assuming no one else can claim your spouse as well. So right here it says $10,400 if I'm single. Now, I'm just doing, I'm not married, so I'm going to go ahead and put in that $10,400. No one else can claim me. And then I'm going to subtract this from the amount. Now the thing is that you'll notice this number is larger than what I have on line 4. Now it says subtract lines 5 from 4. If the line 5 is larger, then you're going to go ahead and enter in a 0. Now if this number happens to be greater than 10,400, then whatever number you get, you want to put that on line 6. The federal income tax withheld from the forms, you'll notice the S is in those closed parentheses. Keep in mind that if you have multiple W-2s or a 1099, you want to make sure that you add up all of the taxes withheld on those multiple forms. If you just have one form, then you're just going to put that amount that was withheld from the respective box, place it in here, and I'm looking at my stuff, and I see that they took out, I don't know, I think it was $102. That's what they took out on my W-2s. And let's see, non-taxable combat pay election, I don't have that. Total payments and credits, so pretty much my total will be adding up all of these. So 102 would be my total. And then tax, use the amount on line 6 above to find your tax in the tax table in the instructions. So this is where you're going to need the instructions. So keep in mind that the amount that I'm using it on is at 0, and whatever number yours happens to be on line 6, we're going to go to the instructions, and let's see for the tax table. And again, you have detailed information if you want to figure out any additional stuff. There it goes, tax table. Click on that, and the tax table should be available to me. So my number was at least 0 but less than 5. So if I'm single, then what I'll do is use 0, but if I'm married, file jointly, it will also be 0. So whatever range your number from line 6 falls in, you're going to find out the amount, and so that's 0. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 0 here, scrolling until you find the earned income credit. Explains what it is in detail. I don't want to make this video too long. Lines 8A, earned income credit. It tells you all the steps and how to figure out the credit. And you're earning credit from steps 2, so you follow the steps. So you have the 102 that was withheld from your taxes, so they have 102 of your dollars. Since we don't have anything for credit, this is what basically the IRS has of yours. And using the tax table, we determined that we should have only paid $0 in taxes. So with that being the case, we have overpaid by 102. So our total tax is going to be 0. Now, if line 9 is larger, so the 102 is larger than the $0, then that means you're going to get a refund. Now, if line 12 is larger than the line 9, then that means you're going to owe. So here, because the 102 is more, that's how much we paid into the system, we're going to get that whole amount back since we only should have paid $0. And then this information, if you have a checking account or a savings account and you want that direct deposit, you go ahead and complete this item. All the routing information from your tax. If not, you can have them send you a check directly to your house. And if line 12 is larger, this will be when you got to pay the money. And since that's not the case, we're going to leave that blank. Third-party designee, you'll leave that blank. So you'll sign down here in your occupation. If you're a student, I would go ahead and put that in there. And then your daytime phone number. And if the IRS sent you an identity protection, you can put that PIN in there, but I don't have one. And then print. If someone else is preparing this for you and they were charging you, they would have to complete this line for you. And you're pretty much done with your tax return. And then on the back of your form, before you print this out, these are the additional worksheets to help you if you're not sure about the dependents and so forth. You need to figure that out. You can go ahead and do what you need to do on the worksheet. And then you're going to mail your return by April 17th, 2018 to the address shown on the last page of this instruction. So these instructions. So that means when you print this form out, I would print it out as a PDF file so I could have an electronic soft copy of it. But I would also print it out as a hard copy so you can just mail it off and not have to worry about it. And if you go to the very bottom below the tax, find your state, and let's say, okay, Happy lives in California. So you're going to go to the Department of Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Fresno, California. And that's where you would, if you're requesting a refund in his situation. Now, if he in fact owed, then you're going to actually write a check or a money order, and then you're going to be sending it to this location. So the refunds go to Fresno, and the owed amount, additional taxes, go to San Francisco. So that concludes this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you want any detailed instructions, I can be reached at my YouTube account. Hope you enjoyed this video. Bye-bye now.